The sun was merciless that day, its searing heat pressing down on the desert floor until the earth seemed to groan. In the middle of that barren stretch of dust and rock, a young woman lay bound, her wrists tied tightly to iron stakes driven deep into the ground. Her ankles were lashed so hard the ropes bit into her skin. She was stretched out like an offering to the sun. Her dress was torn, her lips cracked and bleeding, her hair matted to her face with sweat. Every breath was shallow, every movement a struggle. A crowd of villagers stood back in silence, their eyes fixed on her. Some looked away, ashamed. Others stared with cold satisfaction, as if her suffering gave meaning to their fear. At the front stood Silas Boon, the village head, a man with hawk-sharp eyes and a voice heavy with authority. His hand rested on the handle of his whip, though he didn't need it. The ropes and the sun were punishment enough. Boon's voice cut through the silence. "This is the way of our fathers," he declared, pointing at the girl. "If she survives 3 days under the gaze of the heavens, she walks free. If she dies, her guilt is proven. That is our law." No one dared challenge him. The villagers nodded slowly, some muttering prayers, others spitting into the dirt to seal the ritual. The girl's name was Abigail Dawson, only 23. She was accused of stealing gold from the village stores, and Boon had named her the thief. She denied it with every ounce of her being, but her words held no weight against his authority. Now she lay helpless, her skin burning under the pitiless sun. Her voice cracked as she cried, "Please, I beg you. I did nothing." But the desert wind carried her plea away, and the people only stared. Children clung to their mothers. Old men crossed their arms. Not one stepped forward. To them, this was not cruelty. It was justice, tradition. Generations had followed this law of fire and sand, and to question it was to defy the village itself. So they turned and walked away, leaving her to the judgment of the sky. The sun climbed higher. The ground scorched Abigail's skin. Her eyes fluttered, as if seeing was too heavy. Hours passed. The world narrowed to her heartbeat and the buzz of flies over cracked earth. Blood coated her lips. Her voice faded to a whisper, swallowed by the desert. Yet one thought clung to her. She did not want to die unseen, her truth unheard. Her lips trembled as she prayed someone might pass this cursed land and hear her cry. But who would come? Would they dare defy tradition and Boon's iron grip? The sun sank lower but still burned fiercely. Abigail's voice was a broken whisper. She thought no one would come. Then she heard it. Hooves crunching on dry earth, slow and steady. Through the haze of heat, she saw a tall figure on horseback, shoulders squared, moving with the caution of a man who'd walked battlefields. Elias Carter, 56. A rancher now, but once a soldier bearing scars and secrets from the war. He'd chosen solitude over company, work over laughter, a quiet ranch over town chaos. But that solitude shattered when he saw her. Tied to stakes, skin raw, lips torn by thirst. She whispered, "Please, untie me." The words hit him like a bullet. He could have ridden on, safer that way. Everyone knew not to cross Silas Boon. But Elias couldn't turn from suffering, not after losing his family to men who looked away. He dismounted, boots cracking the ground. Kneeling beside her, his shadow shielded her burned skin. "You're not guilty, are you?" he muttered. "No," she rasped. "I swear on my life." Elias cut the ropes on her wrists. They snapped, leaving red marks. Her hands trembled. He freed her ankles and lifted her, her weight barely registering. The desert had stolen much from her. Unseen, 2 villagers watched from a ridge, eyes wide. They'd run to Boon soon. Elias hadn't just broken a law, he'd spat on tradition. As he set Abigail in the saddle, she whispered, "They'll kill you for this." Elias's jaw tightened. Let them try. With a tug on the reins, the horse moved, carrying them from that cursed patch. But what waited beyond the ridge? Would Boon let them escape? Elias had barely cleared it when a shout rang out. "Stop! Carter!" Boon stood with 4 men, his coat flapping, hand near his revolver. One man held a club, another a gleaming knife, a third a half-drawn pistol. "You spit on our law," Boon said. Elias spoke calmly. "That law ain't justice, Silas, it's cruelty. She's no thief." Boon's lips curled. His men blocked the trail. Abigail clutched the saddle, whispering, "They'll kill you." Elias's hand brushed his colt but stayed still. Silence stretched. The first man charged with the club. Elias dodged, landing a punch that dropped him. The second came with the knife. Elias twisted his wrist, sending the blade flying, and floored him with an elbow. The third raised his pistol, but Elias kicked his arm, the shot going wild, and knocked him down. The last man froze, looking to Boon. Boon stood still, hand near his gun but not drawing. He knew Elias wasn't bluffing. Boon spat. "This ain't over, Carter." He turned, signaling his men to follow. The beaten men limped away, pride as broken as their bodies. Elias mounted beside Abigail, who looked at him with awe and fear. They rode on, knowing this was just the beginning. Boon wouldn't forget. Where could they go? Who would stand with them? The town was quiet when Elias led the horse into the sheriff's yard. Abigail swayed, half-conscious, and he caught her. Sheriff Thomas Hale stepped out, hand on his belt. "Elias Carter," he said. "Haven't seen you since the war. And now you show up with a girl half dead. What happened?" Elias carried Abigail inside, setting her on a bench. He named Boon. Hale's face hardened. "That man's been strutting too long," he muttered, checking Abigail's rope burns. "She needs water, food, rest." "I believe her, but belief ain't enough. We need proof." He looked at Elias. "Give me time. I'll dig into Boon's accounts, question traders. If he's dirty, we'll find it." Elias nodded. They'd fought together. Their bond held. Days passed heavily. Abigail stayed near the sheriff's office. Elias brought her bread, coffee. At first, she spoke little, her voice weak. But she opened up, telling of her parents, her lost farm, Boon's accusations. Elias shared war stories, long nights, bitter mornings. Their silences grew heavier than words. One evening, Abigail asked, "Why didn't you leave me there?" Elias paused. "No one should die like that. I've lost enough." Her hand brushed his, stirring something in the lonely rancher. But danger brewed. Boon's men whispered threats in taverns. Hale found missing shipments, skewed accounts, traders hinting at Boon's dark deals. A storm was coming. Abigail asked one night, "Will we ever be free?" Elias, staring at flickering street lamps, said, "I don't know." Hale's investigation moved fast. Traders talked, ledgers surfaced. Gold shipments vanished, all pointing to Boon. Hale rode into the village with Elias and Abigail. Townsfolk gathered as he laid out the evidence. Boon shouted, called it lies, but the proof was heavy. Fear turned to rage. The villagers, once cowed, dragged Boon to the stakes where Abigail suffered. "Let the sun judge you," they said. His protests faded under his own law. Abigail whispered, "It's cruel." Elias nodded. "Sometimes a cruel law eats its maker. Maybe that's justice." The crowd left Boon to the sun. But Boon survived, freed by loyal men. He gathered a posse and tracked Elias and Abigail to a friend's ranch. Caleb, a war buddy. At night, torches surrounded the house. "Carter, you're done!" Boon yelled. Elias stepped out, revolver ready. Caleb and Abigail fired from windows. The fight was fierce. Elias dropped 2 men, Caleb 1. Abigail, trembling, wounded another. Boon crept closer, but Abigail's warning shout saved Elias. He fired and Boon fell, his gun firing uselessly into the air. The remaining men fled. Dawn brought silence. Hale arrived, confirming Boon's gang was broken. Elias and Abigail left for the west, seeking a new start. Abigail took Elias's hand. "I'm not afraid anymore." He smiled. "Neither am I,"